there, this is Pretty from It's a Pretty World. They're making a card showcasing how I made that wintry blizzardy night. So what I did is I went ahead and stamped all the images that I wanted, and I used the Simon Says Stamp Christmas Cheer stamp set for the North Pole. I made sure that I stamped that North Pole a little tilted because I was trying to show that the wind is blowing hard and the North Pole is shaking, just to give that feel that it's a snowy, blizzardy night. And then I used the Simon Says Stamp, the ink pad from Simon Says Stamp, obviously, because I was using Copic Colors, and I used a Copic Multiliner to create the banks underneath the North Pole. And then I took a bunch of blue colors. Now I do have the colors in the description box below as well. And I started to I started to map where I wanted the drift to be, the breeze drifts of the air to be. So I took B91 in my case, which is the lightest of the colors, and I started to lay it in the place that I wanted. The way I selected the colors was this picture itself was an inspiration from the Van Gogh's Starry Night. So I took that Starry Night picture and I kept it close to my swatch of my Copic Colors, and I chose the closest colors that matched in that picture that he had painted. So after I was done doing B91, I took B21, which is the next darker shade, and I went right on the edge of where I laid the B91, making sure I was overlapping the edge with that color, and then went back with B91 and blended those two in. And the next color was B24, and I did the same thing. Now keep in mind, even though you're blending those colors back and forth with the same colors again and again, you will still see some lines, and that's exactly what we want. We really want that lines to be seen because we want to show that the air is moving. And then I went next with B26, which is the next darkest color, and I laid that on the edge of the B24 and went back again with B24, blending it inwards, making sure it is all blended in very well. And then there was this little drift on top, and I thought I should do that first before I went with the next darker color. Now here it is. I'm taking the darkest color of all. In my case it's B39, and I went with the same thing again. You just follow the edges, making sure you're going right at the edge of the North Pole without leaving any white lines. And then after I was done laying that, I used BV04, which is my transition color for going from my darkest to the lightest. So after I was done with this, I added B26 and I blended out. I did this over and over again. I'm going to leave you with some music, and I will come back when I'm all done coloring. welcome back again. So now that I was all completely done coloring, it was time to add a little bit of light reflection in the drift, because I'm guessing there's a little bit of a moonlight somewhere there as well. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow Y000 in the center of the lightest part of the drifts. And then it was time to color the North Pole and the sign. And for the pole itself, I used some colors of red and some shades of gray, just to make it look like a candy cane pole. It's after all Santa's sign, which says it's his the sign that says it's the way to Santa's workshop. So I just colored it with the red and white, and then for the finial on the top, I added a beigey shade of color, making sure that I left some highlight in the top left corner. Now there is the light, for me the light source is the left corner, so I'm making sure there's light reflecting on the edges of those signs as well. And I'm doing the first sign right there with some green colors, and I'm keeping the darker shade to my right, to my left side. And did I say the left side? My light source is the right, not left. Sorry about my direction sense. Anyway, so I'm doing keeping the dark on the left side and the light to the right side. And as I'm getting into that lighter side, I'm making sure that I'm not blending it completely and losing that yellow tint there. You know, when the light is reflecting on any dark object or any colored object, it does not change the color, but it kind of lightens the color on which the light is reflecting, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And for the next sign, I used some gray shades and did the same thing, making sure to leave that yellow highlight on the top edge. And then for the last sign, I did the edge of the sign with red color and the inside of the sign with the beigey colors. And again, doing the same process over and over again, keeping the darker shade towards my left and the lighter shade towards the right, and keeping the highlight as visible as possible. And I'm continuing to do the same method again and again. I'm just continuing to color from darkest to lighter, and I've always said this in my past videos as well, I color from the darkest to light, but that's perfectly fine. You do what you feel comfortable with. And then for the snow banks, I started off with the blue tint, and in my case it was B00, and I laid the bank. I also added additional like kind of texture on the snow to show that there's movement in the snow as well, that the air is drifting the snow as well. And then I added BD04 in the the dips of the snow banks, just to show that the snow bank has dipped a bit there in places. And then I went with C1 all over it, just to add a little bit of a grayish shadow tint to it. And then I took some colorless blender and just went all over to take away any harsh edges, because you want to make it look as smooth as possible. You don't want to have harsh edges. And then I dipped my colorless blender onto my Y000, and I used that color to add a little bit of light onto the snow, showing that there is some light reflecting on the peaks of the snow. When I was all done with it, I said I decided to add a few snow from the Simon Says stamp, I think it was called the Christmas Cheer stamp set, and I inked it with my Simon Says embossing ink, and I embossed it using Simon Says fine detail embossing powder. This was just to add some additional texture to the image that I had created. And once I was done heat setting this entire panel, I actually stamped a deer off screen, and I also colored it because I felt like it needed something more in that right corner, just so that it looked a little fuller. And then I added snow using a white gel pen. Now when you're adding the white gel pen, make sure you're adding them in different sizes, just to show some variation. And then I took my white Posca pen and added accumulated snow on the sign and the pole itself. And then I added a little bit of shading underneath the the deer itself. And then I took the Stickles from Tim Holtz and I added that to the snowdrift and on top of the snow that's sitting on the sign, just to add some shimmer to the card. And then I took a top folding note card and I adhered the entire panel onto it. I did not cut the edges because I wanted the image to be completely visible. I didn't want to take it away from the side. And after I was done with all that, it was time to add some gemstones. And these gemstones are from Pretty Pink Posh. And then after that, I was done adhering the stones. It was all done. Here is a close-up of the image. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. You have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye bye.